So I just have the most intense gratitude for Rasmus Gaupp-Berghausen. For those of you who do not know Rasmus, I want to quickly introduce him to you today before this podcast. This man I have been able to study with for the last 4 years, a little bit over that now, and he has been studying water under a microscope with water crystals for 23 years. He also has a couple degrees in masters in water, more in the hard sciences, looking at the purity and the chemistry of water. But what he's talking about through this series of podcasts, as well as master classes, is really the quality of life and the quintessentials of life. And we dive into the science of really the mastering science of all scientific understanding of life and health and wisdom. And to really understand that, you have to understand vibration, frequency, and energy, as Tesla said. And water is what we're made up of, yet we don't know a lot about water. And this man has truly studied water, which is why I think and know that he is one of the smartest, wisest people that I've ever had the opportunity to study with and to share with all of you this wisdom. And I know there's a lot of talk about sound therapy, about water and purifying water and distilling water and all the things with water, right? All the little gadgets and all the EMFs and frequency of bad frequencies that we're exposed to. And there's a lot of information out there. And what I want to be able to do between this and the full series of podcasts with Rasmus, there's going to be 5 in total, that will really just shed true light onto sound therapy, light, frequency, and vibration, to give you some real practical instructions, number one, but number two, some deeper understanding of the science and the math behind it. So I know that doesn't sound overly exciting, trust me. But what I will say is that as you begin to understand it, it becomes more and more fascinating to understand math, to understand frequency and vibration and electricity and ions and atoms and how it all works and how it translates in our body, because we are our own ecosystem. We are a universe. And within this universe, we are in another universe, in a galaxy, and we all are interacting with each other. And to get the best optimized interaction, to have peace, love, and joy as our default program, it would behoove us, would you not agree, to study and understand that interaction of life and how to get quality, beautiful, joyful expressions of life, and to be in harmony with all of life. And that is what this series is about, and what Rasmus really lends us his lens, lens, L-E-N-D-S, lends us his L-E-N-S, his lens, in regards to what he's learned by studying these things. So I do know that today's podcast is a little shorter, but there's a lot of chunks of information that if this is the first time you've ever exposed yourself to Rasmus, please do a little deeper dive at his website at aquaquinta.com, or go to our podcast. We have other, I think it's number 8 and number 64, but they'll be linked on here to this podcast, as well as the more recent ones. And then also know that we have a series of masterclass with him as well that I've mentioned. I do find that there's a lot of great books out there about water and a lot of great philosophy on water, but nobody that I know is integrating all of the information with how it impacts you today for your journey in your wellness and your vibration of becoming a vibrant, healthy well-being. Being a human being in a well state should not contain handfuls of supplements, tons of therapies have to be done each day. It's a way to live a life, a quality of life, and understanding how to truly enhance our own frequency and get order and harmony with ease and grace. That's simple and available to each and every one of us, because we are our own physician within. and we have all this wisdom, and it reflects what we know. So dive deep a little bit with us today, learn a little bit more. Maybe this is repeating information from you. If you're like me, then you're going to soak it all up like the sponges that we are to truly what health is about and what wellness is about. I invite you to join us here today on the Beats with Rasmus Gaupp-Berghausen from Austria, the water whisperer himself, to talk a little bit more about energy, frequency, and vibration. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome my vibrant community, the Beats, my beautiful community. I truly love you all from my heart to yours. And I have a very, again, returning guest. Rasmus is back with us today to dive deep into his mind a little bit, just a short version of his mind in regards to frequency and vibration and sound. We're going to talk about that because I find that right now, as I travel around the world, as I go to different conferences, a lot of people are talking about sound therapy. They're talking about frequency and vibration. And I just want people to be efficient and effective with it. And honestly, I know I have a lot to gain with people understanding Sound of Soul, but getting to understand Rasmus and understand the work he has performed in the scientific understanding of it, the math of it all is really why sound therapy and how it works is why I wanted him to do this series of masterclasses, but why we have him on the podcast today is to just talk a little bit about that. So welcome, Rasmus.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, we're trying to be fast about it. So I'm like, okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is there's three things that you've talked about in the past that really science has ignored. If you could just briefly talk about the fact that the observer, it seems to be ignored in science, and that the quality, you had talked about frequency is more than just the measurement of hertz, that we have to look at the quality of frequency. And I think it's important for people to start to get a taste of this so that they understand why it's important to understand frequency, vibration, and energy when they go to understand their body, because we are water, and it all relates back to water for me. And it relates back to the body if it relates to water. So, okay.
Yeah, well, we'd say ask quality and observer, but what was the third part?
Oh, the fact that all of frequency and vibration and energy is information.
Okay.
That we forget information. Okay. And you only have a half hour for the whole thing. So there you go. That's only question one.
No, that's all fine. Well, how should we start? My big topic during all my studies now, I started when I was 19. This is now 30 years ago, always related to water and quality. And I always thought, I was interested, how can I determine quality? In the beginning, of course, in relation to water. And of course, I started in a physical term, in a chemical term, to determine what components makes the water good or makes the water bad, and all the different nutrients and pesticides and chemical components and everything you find in the water. This was my approach in the beginning, and it's up to today, of course, a very important part that we have a chemical good water without contaminants. But as you know, I stumbled over Dr. Emoto about 25 years ago, and run his laboratory for many years, and saw there's much more than just the physical or chemical part. And then to see that to determine a water quality, you have to put it from two sides. One is the quantity, which means the chemical components, and the other thing is the quality. This means the interaction, you can say, from the physical components to the person. So if I have a glass of water here, of course, I can determine a lot of things inside, which should be or should not be inside. But this is just the quantitative aspect. And the other thing, the quality, is always the interaction between me and the water. And so the quality itself cannot be only described by the physical components. This is by far too less. This is what we still have. If I have a water bottle, wherever I buy it in the store, I see just quantities, the nitrate, the pH, whatever, the calcium, whatever you find inside. These are quantities. And then we could, at the end of the day, would say, why shouldn't we drink just purified water, which can also have benefits to us, but we lack maybe some minerals. But there is much more than just the quantity, and the quality is the interaction. This is what I saw with Dr. Emoto's work. Then when you take, for example, holy springs, good water, ancient water, which has been described as holy springs, which you find in every culture around the world, simply in every culture you find holy springs. And so the word holy derives from healing. And if we cannot explain it, we put our belief into this. And I think science nowadays can try to make this bridge and see that this holy healing water can be described by a quality which is expressed in form-giving processes, which means can be expressed by beautiful shapes. I'm just today sitting and testing water from Indonesia and from France, 2 samples I got, and I have been in Indonesia many years ago and also in France, of course, but everywhere on the planet we find good water, special waters, and it's not enough just to examine the chemical components. So what I did, I froze this water. I looked on the bright field uplight microscope and examined the structure, and then you can see that, especially now, for example, the water in Indonesia, beautiful shapes. So there is something which even in far distance in countries on the other side of this planet, they knew about this quality of water. And now about the vibration you asked me about, I think when we talk about the quality of a vibration, there's much more than just the vibration we can detect or determine by different machines, like whatever, this hertz or this wavelength of the light or whatever, this radiation of the ultrasound or whatever we can detect. But the interesting thing is that every wave somehow, I call it the overtones, like in music. When you have a string and everybody, or not maybe everybody, but most people can make a difference if they hear a trumpet or if they hear a piano, even if both instruments play the same sound. Why? Because the whole, you can say, bunch of vibration entering your ear is not only one frequency, which it has been tuned, let's say 400 hertz or 500 hertz or whatever. There are also the waves which are the overtones, which are above the main wave. And I always explain it like this: when you sit in the bathtub and filled with water and you make a wave, then you have maybe the main wave, which maybe spills over and makes your whole bath wet. But on this main wave, you have many small waves. And the smaller these waves get, the more important they become to the form-giving process, which means the process creating a harmonic structure. And this is, for example, when the water drop falls from the sky and it freezes and a snowflake appears, the vibration surrounding this little droplet is always unique, and the snowflake is unique. So the beauty is that water has this unique ability to translate the frequency which surrounds it into a form. This is this amazing ability of water. So water, and when we have these holy springs, which we find everywhere around the planet, the water has the ability to somehow show the quality, the vibration which it has been exposed to, maybe due to the different geographic surrounding or ley lines or energetic lines or whatever it might be, maybe the minerals it has passed through. So water has the ability somehow to show this quality in its structure. And this is what is much, much, much more accurate than when we just have a device detecting whatever frequency we have, let's say in the music. So water is able to show this quality. And there are many questions you ask. The question about the observer is because the observer also has vibrations. So if you test a water, if I go now to the laboratory, I drop this water here and I freeze it, then of course my vibration is also in this water. And I compare it like an orchestra. So the whole universe, you can say, is vibration. And it's like an orchestra. Like an orchestra, you have all these different musicians playing. We have here also an orchestra of vibration from the sunlight, from myself, from the vibration of the water itself, from, let's say, the vibration of the room. This water, for example, has passed gold. I always put gold in the water. For me, every water I have in my house has to be connected to gold, because gold makes amazing water crystals. And I always say to everybody, if you want to improve the water of your house, take a little piece of your tube, coat it with gold, and you get, this is the most easy way actually to make beautiful water crystal. Gold has to be connected to water. But so quality is the interaction between two or more components. You can say the water and me, the water and the gold, the sunlight and the water, or all the sum together. And now the water, of course, does not make, let's say, does not exclude anything. So I can say I influence the water, of course, but the light and the gold and the movement of the water itself, so it's an orchestra of vibration. So, and we think in science, if we just take now an instrument or a vibration, say, for example, a lot of healing therapy with sound now, they get completely crazy with frequencies. They say, oh, you have to play 432 hertz. And of course, 432 hertz is the natural sound. I showed this in our interview last time, how you can accurately calculate this, and it makes sense to use the sound. But there is so much more to it. Because imagine you are a singer and you sing now whatever piece of music with 432 hertz. If you're not a good singer, nobody would want to listen to what you're singing. So the pitch itself is by far not enough. There is much, much more into it. And so the beauty is, of course, with water is that water reflects the sum of the vibration, you can say in a harmonic or in a disharmonic shape. And this is the amazing thing. And how to say.
And that shape of the water is the water crystallization that you're seeing under the microscope, which is really the science, both not just the hard science of looking at the chemical structure of it, the purity of it, but also looking at the shape, the quality of it, which I want to just speak to the fact that you've looked at water for 23 years under microscopes, longer than anybody living on the planet. And that is amazing to me, because for me, that is the best form of science in regards to regulation, which is the terrain science that I've studied for 20 years of, does something regulate? Does it harmonize with the body, or does it cause dissonance? Does it cause chaotic sounds, right? And chaotic waves when we look at regulation. And it's so fascinating to me how you've brought harmonics and sound back into music and into the science of healing of water, and how these two things, instinctively, I've always wanted to bring medicine and music back together, because I know how much I love those two things so much. And yet in studying Sound of Soul and studying frequency, light, and vibration, you end up with music, you end up with studying math and really understanding harmonics, and then the shape formation, which really creates matter eventually, because that's the information that water's holding, is the shape. And if that shape is harmonic, and the smaller that vibration is, the more opportunity it has to make these shapes, and then the more form giving it is into a 3D version from a 5D. And I mean, honestly, Rasmus, I couldn't even spoken that sentence 4 years ago. And if you're just listening to this and you're like, okay, what the heck are these guys talking about? Take a breath. You know, I know it's a big understanding, but that's why we dive deeper into these with these master classes. But is there anything else that you want to say about that whole, because that is so beautiful to me, what you've done, what you've studied, what you've determined, what you're sharing about what we know as of right now, that what water is exposed to in its environment, and that everything's a vibration. It's the sum. What was the exact wording you used? It's the sum total. Water's the sum total.
Yeah, well, just that water shows the entire, the whole orchestra it's exposed to, the whole vibration. And you're just a part of it, or the therapist is just a part of it, or the music you expose it is part of it. And then, of course, I think in vibration also it goes further. So it's like vibration always, that's a very difficult to understand, but I think this is one main truth in the universe, is vibration orientates itself always in the higher order. What does this mean? This means that, imagine you have one amazing singer, that's what you can say, and the other one orientates themselves to this person. It's like, you can say like a leader. Of course, not a leader like a dictator or some nonsense, of course, but let's call it a source, an input of inspiration. Yes, because this is, you sit all together in the group and you sing and you dance, and there's maybe one who starts to lead the dance, or you dance with your partner. Maybe you lead the dance, he leads the dance, whatever. So this is, and it is not about good or bad, but this is just somehow that that's what we humans and the animals and the plants, they always seek the highest form of quality. That's in our nature.
Quality. And the
So if you
quality is the order, right?
The quality is the higher order, exactly. So if you would stand of 20 different salads and you are not a botanist or whatever, you don't know, but you would just see this different plants, you would right away grab the one which is the highest order, which attracts you the most. This is a law in our universe. This is the same as the guy. You chose your husband because he was the most attractive for you and not the other one. So this is a law also related to music and to vibration. So we orientate ourselves in the higher order. It's like, you can always call it like a magnet. Mm-hmm. And this is the interesting thing is, like when you have a big orchestra, you can say the conductor maybe is, even if he has nothing in his hands except of a little stick, is maybe the most important one, because he's the one everybody is orientated him or herself to. Right. And this is, I think, in vibration also. So if you now expose water to gold and to music and to yourself, and then you can always say, well, there are for sure a lot of dissonance. So maybe my cable here on the side has not such a good vibration than, I don't know, this cup of gold next door. So, but it tries. There's, of course, so much information. And then we could say, well, maybe there's a little bit bad thing there on the left side, maybe the mobile phone, which just has, I don't know, bad news or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think it orientates itself in the higher order. And this is what I see by myself. So, for example, the moment you get completely silent and present, the whole body starts to orientate itself to what is best to him. But if you're in your mind, you're somehow stuck in with your focus, and you can hardly, how to say, in your condition, you can say, maybe you're stuck in your problems or whatever, in the pattern which you cannot get out. By the moment you get completely present, you can let's say, real coherence take place again. And then you can say you pick the raisins or the best thing out what you need for yourself. And this is, I think, where we're, this is what water also does. You can say water is vibration itself too, and it also orientates itself in the higher order. So what is best? Because some people come to me and say, I have a dead water. How can I improve it? I say there is no dead water. There is maybe very stressed water. If you take a sample out of the tap, I can hardly get crystals. But then you let it rest overnight, take a blue bottle, very simple. I just feel this is a nice bottle with some Indian mandala a friend gave me. And this is one of the bottles I use. I always fill it up and I try to drink at least one, if not two of these bottles a day. This is, I don't know, half a gallon maybe in your size. So it's 2 liters here. So I see when the water rests, it starts to pick up the best information it can get again. And if I place some gold maybe there and some different good of things, it gets better. And this is, I think, because we are always surrounded by an orchestra of vibration. But if you have, let's say you have a huge orchestra and there's one musician playing completely wrong, yes, he would somehow interfere with the whole orchestra and everybody wants to throw him out of this group. Not because he's a bad person or whatever, but doesn't fit into this, because we seek this higher order in our system. This is like in a group. I always say there are 100 people who build a house and one who can lit a fire. So we try to get rid of this one guy, or try to convince him to do something better. But we, of course, don't have to put all the focus only on them, because otherwise we all became, it will drag us on vibration turn down. Yeah, this is...
So that's fascinating, because when I think about so there's another thing that a lot of people are talking about right now is not just sound therapy, but EMFs, right? And all the bad vibrations of all the technology. And you and I had a very deep conversation about that in regards to, listen, the fact that we're talking on this podcast right now and that we're videoing this from two sets of the sides of the world is phenomenal technology. So we got to learn to harness it and use it. But I think so many people feel hopeless in regards to, oh, my house is surrounded by EMFs and there's bad water and I can't overcome it and I can't overcome it. And yet what you're saying is the opposite, that water is going to try to get to its highest form. So if you have good lighting and good earth that you can expose, plants and different things in your home that you can expose, that water that sits out, which I have a picture of water right now sitting on one of your water towers, to allow it to generate structure and flow. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but as simple as gold, like just putting a little gold inside your piping to allow it to create a vortex, which will structure the water and give it good information, and it'll be at its highest form. It's easier than people think, I think, and do you have anything else you want to say about technology and water? And
well, the thing is, of course, that if we talk about, of course, EMF, you mentioned this, I make a lot of testing with EMF. The thing is, of course, one thing is the intensity. So if you're very close to the phone or talk like this, I always say to my kids, never talk like this. Simply never talk like this, because the vibration is at least 20 to 100 times less. It's depends, of course, on the distance. So it's really, don't put it close and don't use these earpods. Even if I love technology and I have always Apple and my whole system, I program on Apple, I don't use earpods. I say this technology is not necessary. Get a good phone, whatever phone you want, and then don't sleep on it. Don't expose yourself too much. Maybe turn it off at night, because of course we have to see that we get also the possibility to regenerate again when we're exposed to too much stress. And this is about EMF. But of course, in EMF, we talked about this, there are different materials you can use, like, for example, magnetite, which is amazing good to put it on the phone. I have this here on the phone, a magnetite piece. And I see that it has a good impact on the water when I place the water just next to it. So there are many things you can, of course, improve. But the worst thing, of course, I think in terms of vibration is the fear. And there's a wonderful thing I stumbled over. It's the think and the thank. So you think, and to thank, have gratitude, to be thankful. And the interesting thing is, in German, it's the same. It's denken, it's think, and danken is to say thank you.
Yeah.
And now and these are also vibration. And I really pondered over this the last days, because let's just talk about something actual, but it was really for me important. Emoto always talked about love and gratitude. And I thought that's of course nice. But love, of course, is action. He always said beautiful. Love comes out of your mouth. You talk to your friend. But gratitude, it's always two, like 2 ears, 2 eyes. So you catch with 2 hands the ball you catch to me. Yes, the love you send to one. And he said it's like a chain reaction. One you keep for yourself, and one you share with the next, translated into love again. That's his beautiful philosophy. But for me, interesting thing is about when we talk about vibration and about healing, we can talk about sound therapy, of course. But for me, what really took my, attention the last couple of days was to think and to thank. Because when you are grateful to something, before you drink this glass of water, not just by how to say a little prayer, but in your mind, you're actually already by your next meeting or whatever. For me, a real prayer is to see something, to see the child, to see the water, to see my partner, not whatever, just to say a special sentence or something. Really, like Greg Braden beautifully has in one of his books, that when you pray, try to be what, if you want rain, try to feel the rain, and not I need rain. Something like this. But back to think and to thank. So the moment if we start to thank, really practice this much, much more during the day, our thoughts, which are vibration, will change amazingly. Because most of the day as humans, at least I can talk for myself, or I've invested a lot of time during my life, that we are always in this situation of lack. we are missing something. I would like to be rich. I would like to have a lot of acknowledgement. I would like to, I don't know, have no problems. I would like to be healthy. It's always like, here I am, but I would like to be there. And that's a conflict which is completely unrealistic. Oh, please make me rich. Now I'm a poor guy. But so this is completely, but if you would thank what you have, I don't want to be here the prayer, but it's the preacher, but it's just to say, it's so, then you change your thoughts completely. Be thankful for the walk you have to do every day to your office, that you have 2 legs and that you're able to walk, whatever. Thank that you have a car driving you to your office, and maybe it's not a Ferrari or a Porsche, but at least it's and it changes your thoughts completely. Because people, what I see, especially when I travel with the motor around the world for many, many years, we went to so many meditation centers, and the people meditated, which is all nice, of course. But for me, the biggest meditation actually is to see somebody and to be thankful, and not to want to achieve something, to study 10 years to get nirvana. Put your fingers in your plug, you get nirvana right away. It won't last long, but that's what's a nonsense. Yes, and these are all vibration. And when I made the research about amniotic liquid in pregnant women exposed to ultrasound, when they were afraid, we could see that the ultrasound were much more harmful than when they were completely centered. And when are you centered? When you are grateful, when you touch your heart, when you're completely. And this is about also with EMF, I can say, of course, this is a stress. It makes a sympathetic stress to my body. But if I get afraid of this even more, it does not mean I should be ignorant, because that's stupid. Be ignorant, take it as a pillow, that's stupidity. Okay. But if I'm afraid of this 24/7, last time I made water crystals, very funny, and I hear the comedian, instead of nice Om Shanti Shanti songs and gongs, I heard a really funny comedian. I was laughing all the time when I was taking these drops. This is not, you can say, not very spiritual in, I don't know, common sense. It was just, I had fun doing this, and I got so beautiful crystals from the same device I tested 2 days before. I didn't change anything. Just I wanted to hear something funny because I was a little bored making this water samples all the time. And of course I could hear nice, whatever, Sita sounds and all, which is all beautiful. I make sounds with Sound of Soul, of course, too. But I say just to be, when you laugh, you're present. You don't laugh tomorrow or yesterday. When you hear something funny, laughing makes you present right away. And that's the funny thing is, so of course the observer and the quality of vibration, everything interacts. And probably the water, if you see it now in a simple term, you can say water realized me laughing. Maybe it's a stupid expression, but probably this was a stronger influence than maybe the mobile phone laying next door, right, also in the room.
Because it's a higher vibration. So therefore it has higher order, higher quality, and everything wants to resonate to that. So
that's actually, and from you as a person, the highest quality you emit is always from your heart. This is, I don't like the word convinced, because convinced you can be just in your brain, but this is at least what I can see throughout my work all the time, because the heart beats always now, not tomorrow or yesterday. The heart is always in the now, and the heart wants to get in coherence with the vibration surrounding it. And that what touches your heart the most is the strongest vibration. This was the guy you met 20 years ago or whenever. Mm-hmm. There was another guy there, and there was maybe a nice car next door, but this is, you can say, you orientated yourself there. And this is what nature does in vibration. And this is also in sound therapy. So a good sound therapy is not only to talk about whatever hertz we tune our instrument to. That's some basic, you can say, have a good tuned instrument. But some music therapists, when they play, you get so touched, and literally it's so beautiful. And there are some other people playing, you just think, what a waste of time. It's not reaching you at all. And so this is, I think, about frequencies. To talk about quality, very important, the interaction between 2 or more components, and then that it orientates in a higher order. And then I think what we expose ourselves. And I think the frequency of gratitude is the basic for love. It's not, if you talk the discussion about is first the hen or the egg, it's maybe difficult, but at least I think it's the
Chicken or
correct.
the egg? Yeah, the chicken
The
or the
chicken,
egg.
sorry. Yeah, my German, it's a translation.
That's all
Sorry.
good. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for your correct. Chicken and the egg. Okay. And in
Is
German, it's
it
the
love or gratitude? You're
yeah, it's
saying
a gratitude. Yeah,
gratitude.
because the moment when you see your child the first time, you can say there's a gratitude which just is mind blowing, and the result is internal love. You can say,
Yeah.
but if you lose this gratitude, your completely mind is changing. Then you always are in this feeling of I don't have this and I don't have that and I would like and all this ifs. But if you're thankful, it is already. You cannot say I'm thankful for being rich tomorrow. This would be a lie to yourself because you don't know if you're rich tomorrow. But you can say I'm thankful what I have here, or we have this nice meeting, or I don't know what all surrounds us. And this changed our thought, and our thought, this is the beautiful thing, is that when we are aware about this, we literally change the vibration which is around us. And this, I think, makes the great healers. If you really, but
you were saying that the coherence always comes from the heart, that the mind, and we've had many conversations about this throughout this masterclass series and beyond, is that the mind is more limited, whereas the heart is unlimited, and the heart is always coherent, and the mind has difficulty being in coherence. And that if we focus more on the heart, especially with our sound therapy, that determines the quality, because the quality is specific to you, an individual, because you are, I don't know, like the quality of the person is, like you were said before, like, yes, I have gray hair and blue eyes, and, I'm 5'8.5" and weigh 140 pounds or whatever. But that doesn't really speak to the quality of the person. You could be describing 3 women, that are white American women that look similar to me, but it doesn't mean that we're at all the same. When you get to know our quality, that's where our life is. Yes, that living is breathing in and out, but the quality of the life, of what we do with that breath and how we embody who we are as the unique person, and that's interacting with all of life. We're water, and we're constantly absorbing and discerning. I would say if you're conscious, you're discerning what influencing you're allowing, and what influencing you're purposely exposing yourself to raise your vibration, and what you're purposely not exposing your vibration to because you don't want to work that hard, or you don't have it in you today to overcome that, or whatever the case may be.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is a beauty when you're, for example, you work as a therapist and you're completely grateful for the wonderful work you're doing, and grateful that you have this wonderful patient next to you, and that you are maybe not, that you are just a facilitator here. Like for me, sound therapy, when we talked about this, what is every mother around the world doing when the baby is sick? Every mother and everybody can just try to observe it. Every mother, not having learned anything about sound therapy, maybe if you're a young mother getting a mother with 16, very, very, very young, you have no education yet, anything, you will start to take your child, put it to your heart, and you start to hum, try to make comfort. So you start to make the most simple way, but probably the most profound way of music therapy. So you connect the 2 hearts, and you start to make a vibration, because it makes a coherence. So you start to enter the humming, yes, and so this is, I think this is how music therapy starts, and I think in every hospital, no matter how big, there should be doctors working with sound and explaining about being present. Because when you're in the hospital, you're completely in fear. Fear is a matter of time. If there would be no time, there would be no fear. Fear is a little brother, a little sister of the thought. And the thought, again, is a vibration. We have just been talking about thoughts. So this is, and if we have this lack of spirituality, we can call it in medicine, which doesn't mean for me to believe something. Belief is up here again. Belief has for me nothing to do with spirituality. Belief is conditioned thinking. You can believe in whatever, and this is nice, this is human, but to know about things and to be like human beings, not human doings. And if you know what fear is, how can you get the patient, for example, has cancer, get him in the present state, see him the beauty of life, bring him to be thankful. How difficult is that? That's really difficult, because I have had so many cancer patients coming to me, and they said my body tribe betrays me, and I hate my body, and I hate this. And of course, it's we can understand it. But if we can make the switch, and they can really be thankful for what happens to them, because maybe it's a really wonderful sign. Maybe the body has this trash dumpster where it puts all its inside and make this whatever symptom. And I just had a long talk with a neighbor who got how is this called? This cancer, this womb cancer. It's called, I think, in English, the right word. When you ovaries and the womb,
uterus.
Uterus, yes, exactly, uterus cancer. And of course, you get so afraid, and you hate your own body and all this thing. And I of course, say I cannot heal you. You can just heal yourself. And the funniest thing is, this lady came to me. And she said, you know what? I heard about music therapy. And I said, well, I don't want to brag here, but it was just so funny. And I said, well, I know a little about music therapy too. And she said, I went to a therapist. She translated the heart frequency into sound. And I said, well, this you have to tell me closer about and more about this. And this was the funniest therapist here, because I have several therapists. And she does this. And she said it was so beautiful because it brought her out of the mind all the problems she has. She has 3 kids. She wants to get divorced of her husband, she told me. And the whole evening, the whole story, and how to say, and there's so much fear and so much problem, and you would say there is no gratitude and no joy whatsoever. And how should this poor lady heal herself? She get now this laser, all this kind of treatments, which is of course amazing what they can do. Absolutely. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. But if she does not change her, let's call it even her pH, her acidity, her fear, her tension, getting to attention. Attention means being out of tension, to be at the moment, because then you can resonate what you need. Then she can pick the raisins out she needs for her body, like the water does to make a nice crystal. But if you're in this fear mode and in this time horizon all the time, how difficult is that? And this is where music comes into the picture. Whatever music therapy, I translate the heart frequency to sound. I think that's, for me, the most profound way. What I say the most profound is for sure a mother humming to her child. Yeah. But now it's of course difficult maybe for a 50-year-old lady to sit next to the breast of her mother to hum. Maybe this is also the best thing they should do, of course. But if she can see there is nothing more beautiful in the whole universe than herself, her heart, her frequency at the very moment, and she can become thankful to this, she can change everything. I am completely certain about this. And she has to put the authority back to herself, that she is the origin and she's the source. She's the source of the frequency making her life possible. And this is, I think, and sound is so strong, because sound, we talked about this several times, you cannot escape sound. Sounds, when you listen to beautiful sound, you right away start to move to it, because that's the magic of sound. Yeah. Sound has the ability to bring you into the present moment. And that's, and knowing all these different things about frequency, higher order, coherence, I don't know, overtones and all the things, I think we literally can start to really be amazed of the beauty of life and what happens around us and what is possible. And then put it together, put the physical and chemical part of good water, put the mechanical part of a good therapy, of a good hospital. It's absolutely what they could do. Really, the operation she got, amazing. She looked really good. Even they took the ovaries out and the uterus out. And they took everything out of this lady. She, as I said, she is not even 50 yet. And she looked good. So they made a very good operation with her. Amazing. This wouldn't be possible 100 years ago. But now she has to get into the right, you can say, coherence of beautiful for our surrounding. Even I said also to her, make the most crazy thing you ever wanted to do in your life. Really do it now. Not if, when, whatever. What that's not nonsense. And yeah, and she said that she got this insights and this beauty that she has to do something nice. Also, she told me when she heard her own sound. So it was very nice. We had a nice talk. And
that's very serendipitous, if you will, that she was telling you how great it was, and it was you that created that technology.
Yeah, well, this is just from my ego, maybe, but I think at the end of the day, it's just that work. Yeah, it's just but in the end, it's beautiful, because if you help somebody else, you are full of gratitude,
Right.
and it will change all your thoughts again. It's so beautiful, this work. And it's actually, you don't do it for the other person, you do it for yourself, because then you will flow over with gratitude and good thoughts and beautiful work. And so what we should do, our humans, to sum this up, is be aware about frequencies and try to emphasize good frequencies, and try to take frequencies like in a group. If there's a lot of musicians and one can't play whatsoever, he's not supposed to play in this group. Bless you. And this is exactly what we should do, is really to try not to be too afraid about this bad frequency. Be aware of them. Don't sleep with a mobile phone on your head, but try to surround you with good things. If you get a good, nice message from the phone from your beloved ones, this is healing pure, but I don't need to sleep on this phone. But the message, when I get a nice message, well, that's beautiful. So this is about frequencies. I think there is the orientation of higher order, I would say, and the think and the thought. This is what I was dealing a lot with recently.
Well, thank you for everything and for going deeper today, and broadly stroking all the strokes today that you have on this beautiful canvas of known as frequency, vibration, and energy. And I know that you have a hard stop now, so I'm going to bid you adieu and really have gratitude for your work, Rasmus, and your ability and wisdom and your willingness to share it with everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. That podcast was fast and furious, but amazing. And I just wanted to share with you a couple things. One is, if you're enjoying these podcasts, do me a favor and rate this podcast. It does help access, it does something to our ratings to help other people find us. And this information is truly near and dear to my heart, of my life's work and my mission to truly share with people how their body works and how the universe works. And I want to know how I'm doing. So if you have any feedback, any insights of how we can make this better, more impactful, how we can reach more people, why you like it, anything, I'm open for the feedback. And thank you for taking the time to do that, because I know that all we have is now and every moment is precious. And so taking the time to add value to our collection and our community, I truly, truly do appreciate and have a lot of gratitude for. So in preparing for this podcast today and getting to delve through the 5 hours, 6 hours of recording that we had done prior in order to bring this content in a deeper way in a masterclass, I wanted to highlight some of the things that Rasmus talked about. So here at the end, I just wanted to give you some of those ideas and why this podcast, to me, and know that we're going to have more podcasts with Rasmus, but this is just scratching the surface, because just to give you an idea, these are some of the topics we talk about in all the classes and all the podcasts that we're doing. So how homeopathy really works, why the blues music truly is healing. What is entrainment and synchronicity? What does that really mean? pH of water. How does that play? How does that interact with water? Or how do we really work with pH? And can water change its own pH? Yes, it can. Holy waters. And what does that really mean? Are there truly areas of the universe, of our globe, that have holier water than other areas, that's more special than other areas? Rasmus is going to uncover all that for us. We're going to talk about coherence and harmony, and what that really means is in regards to the amplitude, the octaves, the intervals, bringing music and science and healing all together. The sacred symbols of polarity, and what numbers and symbols mean, and how structures and vibrations create form and function in life. They actually create life, and that weight and sound and how they relate, that the weight of sound and that weight has a sound. Both of those things are true, and how they interact, that water and light and sound all interact, and that color, water, light, and sound, vibrations of life, is how universal information is translated. And if that information is coherent, then we have wellness, and that the shapes of those vibrations denote its quality. And that quality is always, we're going to resonate towards the highest frequency that we are exposed to, which is the beauty of life. And so I invite you all to a journey of diving deep into understanding water, vibration, frequency, energy, the heart, sound, the sound of soul, and your own beauty within, because that's really the key. Since I started this podcast almost 3.5 years ago now, when we started this podcast, my goal was to be able to express to each one of you what I have learned, these colleagues that have helped me understand it in ways and different perspectives and lenses, but truly what experience I had was hearing my own inner beauty and experiencing my uniqueness that I was able to step into more and more. The more I trusted the knowing and got out of the thing, not that I get out of my head, I trust my heart and then figure things out with my brain. And it has been so freeing. And this is from my heart to yours, my goal for each one of you, to have true sovereignty and freedom for your health, for your wellness, that's what right within inside you. That yes, perhaps it's hard to access. Maybe you have blockades to that healing force. Maybe you have dental foci, maybe you have scars, subluxations, or deep emotional beliefs that are blocking you. Then let's dive into that. Listen to this podcast, masterclasses, all the things. Learn how to pump your lymph on our website. We're here to help you access that and help to break up those blockades to healing. Once you've addressed the blockades to healing, let's help you upregulate your nervous system to get you to constantly upregulate that system, to open up the fascia, the lymph, get more oxygen and water and energy in that body, allowing your body to flow through life, to harmonize, to properly compensate, regulate, and adapt for all of the stressors, internal and external, positive and negative. There are no judgments in life. It truly just is. And as life is, as we harmonize with life, we continue to regenerate and grow and expand, because that is the journey of life, is expansion and growth through pressure, through hormesis, through stress, both eustress, positive stress, and distress. Yes, both. That we expand and grow as organisms. As human beings, we are physical in nature, yet our nature is much bigger than our physical bodies. Our nature is our expansive spiritual selves. And I invite you to learn the quintessentials of life with us here on the Beats, here at True Wellness Center in Pennsylvania, and all the ways. I pray that your access to this information allows you to experience your own inner beauty in whatever way you do that, whether it's staring at a leaf and truly appreciating the beauty of nature, and that all of it is giving you oxygen and life force through the sun, through the nature outside, that it's giving your own nature healing, and that we have access to it at all times from within. Truly, my heart is filled as I am able to live a life that is full of expansion and growth, and able to share that with all of you, because I want nothing more than to express my life and experience it with all of you in connection with other human beings that are heart-centered and are being right here with me right now in this present moment. So my name is Kelly Kennedy. And again, from my heart to yours, I thank you and pray that this point forward, you remember always that you are perfect, and that you are unique, and that you are well. And if you don't feel that today, let us help you find that feeling within, so you can rise up out of the ashes and light up like so many vibrant beings have joined our vibrant community. And you too now are part of our community. Welcome. And here we go.